What up, everybody? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter live tonight. Oh yeah,
You caught us all off guard just now.
he's doing some of that spinning head shit. He knows we're talking an exorcism. What up? We are talking Late Night with the Devil tonight. This is a Shudder original. This is like a big deal. It's kind of funny. I feel like this is the biggest deal for that I've like been seeing online. The movie that's been getting the most hype since the last big Shudder original, which is When Evil Lurks. It's pretty fucking interesting, man. Steph, I know you come correct when you often say when you hear Shudder, you're usually like, oh, you're a little hesitant. It's kind of oftentimes a little weak sauce, low production value, not the best, not the biggest budgets and everything. But I've seen quite a few. I feel like they're stepping up their game quite a bit. In the last couple of years, I've seen some really good stuff. And I've seen this, which I think is, I was going to go ahead and say it. I think it's a banger. It's at least a hella unique film that is going to be make for a great conversation. And then When Evil Lurks was probably my favorite movie of last year and the influencer last year. That they're dropping a lot of good stuff. This one directed. This is another one. I just looked into it right before we got going. This is another Australian brother duo, like the Philippou brothers that did Talk to Me. This is Cameron and Colin Cairnes is how I'm going to pronounce it. They've only done like 3 movies, so this is the biggest thing that they've done, starring David Dastmalchian, and everybody else that's in the movie is an Australian actor doing an American accent. Well, besides the Chris 2 guy, who is an Australian actor doing whatever fucking accent that he's doing in the movie. Yeah,
that's
I know.
crazy.
I know, it's one of those things. It's like I watched it again after knowing that. It's just kind of mind blowing.
Yeah,
how they
sorry,
can fool you. Go ahead.
This is like a lot of these films, like either I watch one time, or a lot of times like it's day of, leading up to the show. But this is a film I watched twice, like because I really wanted to go back and soak up what I missed or might have missed the first time around. But I thoroughly enjoyed this, man. I agree with what you said about. I'm not completely familiar with Shudder's catalog and all their releases, but this definitely feels like a solid release from them. Definitely a declarative statement that they're here to stay. I thought this was a fantastic movie.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, I guess I didn't do my regular bit. I think I got distracted by the exorcism going down below me, but thank you guys for being here, man. We got Stu and Steph, Missing Lynk from Supreme Clientele, and we got hashtag Mr. Blame Phable down there from hashtag Blame Phable and his amazing friends. Make sure you're there tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, over on his channel. So, all right, Stu, you gave us your piece a little bit. Let's go ahead and Phable. What did you think, brother? When I watched this, I was like, man, I wonder what the fuck Fable's gonna think. I know you dig possession things. I know you kind of dig that 70s vibe. So what did you think, man?
Well, speaking to the budgets and the things like that and the low quality of Shudder, when I first saw the I don't know if you guys pay attention to stuff like this, but there was like 100 production companies involved in this
Yes.
thing. Yeah, it opened up with like at least 10 different production companies.
The first time I said it, I watched it. I said that to my wife. I was like, "How many more?
Everybody did.
Are going to chime in here?" Yeah.
I listened to a podcast that talked about it. They mentioned it, and then when I watched it for the second time with my wife, I'm just sitting there waiting to see if she's going to say something. And about halfway through them, she's like, "This is a little ridiculous." I'm like, "Buckle up, babe, because we're just getting started."
I don't feel crazy then, because I was thinking that.
Bro. Great call.
I'm starting to get nervous because of that, right? Like, there's so many hands involved in this, But this movie did not feel its budget at all. It felt quality. It felt well shot. I enjoyed it thoroughly. The main actor, wow, right? Like he always plays these timid roles to me. Wasn't he Polka Dot Man?
Yeah. I should have said that from the get-go. For people will recognize David Dastmalchian, again, if I'm saying his name right. He's the Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad. He was in all 3 of the Dark Knight or the Nolan Batman films. He's kind of like the crazy guy.
Dark Knight was his first film credit, actually.
Oh, really?
Which I find great. Which is kind of cool. He started on the Dark Knight, and it's like his career is interesting because it's like he's in like a lot of shit you probably never heard of, but then it's like every few years he's in a fucking banger, whether it be by Christopher Nolan, Denis, whatever. I can never pronounce Denis' last name, Villeneuve, whatever. but it's like he is in a lot of those guys' movies, and it's just crazy. Like, you know, I don't know. It's because it's like I think we all remember his first scene in The Dark Knight, you know, where he's like in the crowd and he like. But I before yesterday, I did not know that was his first film. Like, I would have thought he had been in some other shit. Like, and he was in like one TV show before he was in The Dark Knight. It was like a guest appearance. So it's like my man's really hit it big. Respect him. He's an interesting actor.
He is interesting. He's got a strange career path. Like when I saw him in Dune, like I kind of chuckled. I was like, this fucking guy. But then you're right. Like I start to notice, like, oh no, this guy does a lot of big movies. He just ends up with these huge blockbuster movies. And this, to me, I mean, as far as I know, or from my from what I'm familiar with, this is the first thing I've seen him be like, even like the top 5 character in a movie. He's always like in the bottom rung of the flick, and he owns this flick.
Yeah, exactly. This is a coming out party for me, for him, at least in my eyes. Like seeing his ability. I thought he was excellent as Polka Dot Man, but it's clear that he has more range than that. He can actually be a good-looking leading man now. Like when I'm watching this, you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, man, great performances. I wouldn't call it a knock. It's a little predictable, but it's entertaining either way. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I totally recommend this movie. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. I'm glad you guys both enjoyed it. Steph, I know you watched it like a good week and a half ago. What'd you think, brother?
I enjoyed it overall. Like you guys, I thought it was entertaining overall. But for me, it was like the last 20 minutes is kind of where it hooks me. I mean, there was interesting stuff going on throughout it, but I think it kind of reinforces what Stu was saying in terms of rewatching. Like when he goes to that whole scenario, you don't know whether it's a dream sequence or it's like, you know, with him and his wife or the Illuminati shit. You know, it makes you want to go back and rewatch it to see how that shit was being laid out, represented to begin with. It's almost like Malignant in that sense, where it's like the rest of the film, but most of the film is kind of like, you know, it's whatever. It's not terrible. It's not amazing, but it's like the last couple minutes really hooks you and makes you want to go back and watch it because you have a different experience because you were seeing it through a different lens the first viewing, you know, your first viewing experience. So overall, yeah, I gotta say, great performances all around. To be honest, David, shout out to him. He definitely stepped up. But even the side characters, bro. Like not to jump ahead, but I think my favorite character was Gus, the Andy Richter side dude. You know,
I think I'm with you, dude. He was great.
He was so great. He was like the conscience. He was like the moral conscience of the.
Like, yo, guys, it's just getting a little bit. We sure want to do this shit.
He said,
exactly. He was the one.
This is satanic or some shit like that.
Right.
I love when he brought him out for the demonstration or whatever, and they got the smoke sight or whatever. He's like, "All right, Gus, are you relaxed?" And Gus looks off to the side. He's like, "Sure,
yeah."
He's so over it at that point. Like, I love that.
Overall, I think it was a step up for Shudder, and hopefully they do more shit in this vein. You know,
totally,
this quality.
Man. Well, it just has me excited for Shudder. Of like, I'm kind of almost to the point where I'm expecting like a contender for picture of the year, horror movie of the year. Like one, they're gonna give us one like that's gonna make everybody talk. And get the needle moving for Shudder. I mean, people ask all the time. Like, I'm in a lot of horror Facebook groups. People are like, "Is Shudder worth it?" And it really does kind of depend what kind of horror fan you are. But it's like $4.99. It's so goddamn cheap. I say check it out. Wow. Go watch the big movies. Spend a month on Shudder, and you'll love the shit out of it. If you're not diehard, you're gonna get over it within a couple months. But I mean, it's worth checking out. To set up the premise of this flick, man, this is one of the great things about the movie is how well it sucks you in. Where the first 10 minutes, it's like documentary style, and they're just telling us the story. Let me go ahead and bring up little I got a picture of this handsome fellow. We'll go right here first. It's telling us the story of this late night talk show host. He's in a ratings battle with Johnny Carson. He's always played at least second fiddle, if not significantly lower on the totem pole for late night show talk show hosts. And we were introduced to the idea that he got down with the Bohemian Grove, and we're going to get into that he's dabbled with his secret society, maybe some devil worshiping and some satanic rituals in the woods type of stuff. And his wife gets sick and dies like a couple months before the events of what happens on this night. So he takes a minute off, and then he comes back, and like after he'd been back for a few weeks, he does this big Halloween special. So we're told like, this is the lost footage. This is the footage that nobody has seen. So basically the rest of the movie, we are seeing the late night show that night, right? And every time it cuts to commercial, the cameras keep rolling. And it took me to like the end of the movie the first time I watched it that I'm like, oh, this is a found footage film. That does not feel like a found footage film, but that is exactly what it is. So we're seeing the show, and then we're seeing like the behind the scenes of it that leads up to the end. So we're seeing him bring on all his guests and all this different shit. So before we, Stu, I brought up the controversy. Before we get like into the movie itself, this is kind of worth getting into. So if you are to read an article, if you just fucking Google Late Night with the Devil, you're going to see a lot of people having a lot of thoughts about AI. They used AI in the making of this film. So what it boils down to is there's 3 images, 3 title cards that are used throughout the course of the film. This is one of them. This is the only one that I know like for sure that this is AI. I've seen this floating around on the internet. And what it basically is, like in early 2022, when people are just starting to play around with AI imagery, they made these title cards. They're like, we have an art department that is paid. So it's not like they would have hired people and they didn't hire them because of AI. They just were playing around and they made these title cards and they put them in the movie. They didn't realize it was going to become like the issue that it is right now, where it's such a big debate and everybody's up in arms over it. And you're taking jobs and all that kind of shenanigans. So for me, I think it's pretty innocent. It doesn't take away jack shit from my experience watching the movie, but it is worth bringing up. And it is something that Phable, I know you guys have talked about on your show. And, you know, most people talking pop culture have dabbled in this conversation. But Stu, what are your thoughts? Like, do you think it takes away anything from this movie? I'm sure we're all on the same page as far as that goes. But what do you just think overall of how much is too much? Is there any allowable limit now that the debate is being had, like in any of your guys' eyes, for the use of AI in any way, shape, or form in the making?
I think the fight against AI is useless in some sense. I think we need to figure out how we want to best adapt and use this technology in terms of the arts and the creative process. I think you see it with not only here but in hip hop with Drake, you know, making these diss tracks using other rappers' voices and stuff like that. So AI is out there. It's a fact of life. It's going to continue to develop and be. I think it could definitely be a useful tool for this argument here. 3 title cards in the movie, that was like, and when I heard the outside argument about AI, but before I knew what it was, I thought it was in reference to the special effects or like entire scenes or something.
Yeah, me too.
Like, give me a break, man. This is kind of folly in terms of crying foul about AI. I think in a certain sense, using that alien nature that AI kind of puts across in its artwork, invariably sometimes when it's dealing with like humans or human expressions or you know what I mean, like
right. Well, if
AI,
you look closely at the fingers like, here, it's crazy. Yeah,
and I think like, but using that to be a little distant or a little off could be a good aesthetic trick. I think it's all in how you use it, but I feel like it's useless for us to act like this isn't going to become integrated into the creative process across the board. We just need to figure out what we're okay with and what works for us and what doesn't. But 3 title cards for me is not a reason to cry foul.
Right. No, I couldn't agree more. And I'll just say before I send it to you, Phable, like I watched the movie and then I heard about this AI business. Or no, I'm sorry, the other way around. I heard about the AI business, but I didn't know it was just 3 title cards. All I knew is this movie used AI. So I'm watching the movie and fucking everything was AI. You know what I mean? I'm thinking like, oh, that's it. That is. And I'm like, everything just seemed off to me. But it's like, no, it's just a movie. It just looked like it was shot in the 70s or whatever. But yeah, once I saw what it was, who gives a shit? But I got some more thoughts on it. But Phable, where do you stand on it as the debate as a whole, bro?
Yeah, I pretty much echo what Stu said. I mean, it all depends on what everybody's okay with. People gotta figure out those boundaries and those guidelines for this stuff. This stuff is so new. We're just like on the forefront of frontier. This, what it means. You never know. It could actually make hand drawn art more expensive, which is a good thing, right? Because people want authentic things. Some people want handcrafted, and sometimes you can tell this AI stuff apart. But regardless of all that, it's going to be used in different facets, right? Like people use it just to like make quick paragraphs, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like what you think. In this context, in this movie, I don't mind it because it's like, yo, they got a budget, bro. Period. And if they got some tools that can make some of this production faster and easier, and it doesn't hurt anybody, really, you had to tell me that this was AI for me to even think about it. I didn't have it in my mind at all. So, yeah.
And maybe like just to echo what Phable said, or just to pick up on it, if this was like some big blockbuster film and it didn't have like this great singular powerful artistic / aesthetic statement that I feel like this movie did, then it would probably like feel different. But I feel like this movie accomplished so much in trying to get like a singular vision across, you know what I mean? And we'll get into that later, but it felt like this I don't know, this giant theater of the mind, and like we never really left that. And like the title cards being something that is AI is just negligible at best to me. So I don't know. It's got to be like a bigger strike, and I don't know, something greater.
No, you're spot on. That's my exact argument. Like these are not our enemies. You know what I mean? These low budget people just trying to get by, trying to do something creative. If big budget, like if Universal Studios is making a full AI movie written by AI, starring AI, then we got a major issue. But this is nothing. But Steph, what do you have to add to it, my man?
I mean, I'm with you guys for the most part, where it doesn't really bother me. But to play devil's advocate, people aren't wrong for speaking up,
right?
Because that's where it starts. It starts with little slides. It starts with little shit here and there, and it gradually becomes something bigger. So people aren't saying something now, So they're not wrong for speaking up, but I don't care enough to, for this film or probably for the industry at whole, to really. I just don't care enough. But
right.
I can see where they're coming from for speaking out against it. So
we got some fairly strong opinions down here a little bit from the chat.
Yeah.
Rogue basically, it's not a big deal in this case, but he's basically saying what Steph is saying, where making the argument for a slippery slope. Like there will be jobs lost to this.
Yep.
Like this, jobs were probably not lost here, but you bet your fucking ass jobs are gonna be lost.
Exactly.
Not just here, but everywhere.
Those big corporations, when they're trying to put together some like slapdash shit, like it's gonna be an issue.
Right. Hell yeah. He's saying, I feel like there needs to be well thought out rules over the usage of AI. It can be a tool that makes a lot of projects so much better. Agreed. It can make things better. They need to find a way to let people use AI without it. Just find a way that it's going to make it lose the least amount of jobs, but let people still use it. I heard someone making the argument for like when what is it, like Fruity Loops, Phable, you're a producer. The different, like I bought Ableton comes with all sorts of preset packages and all sorts of things that you can use to make music, and it's like some people at the time would have looked at it as like cheating. Oh, you're cheating, you already got these preset drum beats and all that. But it's the same thing. It's a tool so that now this amount of people could make music and now that amount of people could make music.
I mean, look, we're still figuring this stuff out, right? So, like 100 years ago, there was a whole industry, there was a whole profession of people that used to operate elevators, right? Like that was a whole profession, like, you know what I mean? And they had a union, and you know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff.
For real though.
And when certain technologies came out, their profession disappeared overnight. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying that that's what I want for artists and creatives and shit like that. I'm a creative. I don't want that at all. I don't want a future where that exists. But at the same time, we're still charting this.
Right.
So
exactly.
like when Steph says, we can't let things go. It starts with little things. He's right. you do gotta like take note. You know what I mean? You do gotta put it in your mind and say, wait a minute, okay, I don't know if I like this. You know, we're still creating that process, I think.
I couldn't agree more. If you look back through the course of time, like what were you gonna say? Like, oh, stop the internet. Like, there's also oil. No, oil's gonna revolutionize the world, and it did. I'm sure a lot of people lost oil or jobs. Anytime that there's a massive switch in like an industry, there's gonna be jobs lost, and that sucks for those people. But then there's gonna be jobs gained, and that's just the flow of things.
It's gonna be something else. Like some other YouTuber was talking about this. He said, "What about the AI programmers or something like that? Because somebody's got to create them." Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes, might be a whole new thing now. Like, who can create the best thing? You know, I don't know.
Right. No, I mean, I don't want to get too far into it, but if you think about a lot of what it's doing, it's going to take jobs from people that aren't fucking smart enough. It's going to take my job, and I can't be the guy that programs the fucking AI. So there is that siphoning away and like to the higher intelligence.
I feel like we're headed towards Ready Player One, where everybody's in a double wide, just on the VR, just going crazy.
I love it. As long as I get one of those suits where that chick,
there you go,
with a chick to rub my crotch and I feel it. That's why I'm game. I am game. But all right, real quick, what's up in the chat, man? Real quick, Bobby, appreciate you. Inja in the house, appreciate you as always. Rogue. I'm sorry, I'm hearing my baby screaming in the background. I might have to go bring in a co-host in a minute, guys. Inja, Bobby, Rogue, Sal, Two Gun, Pew to the mother truck and Pew. Appreciate you being here, buddy. 9-panel grid, my man E. Great night or great job tonight over on the PCP stream, talking about the best comics of the month. Stu's up in this bitch. Love that guy. Love that guy when he stops in. All right. So let us carry on. All right, the baby seems to have settled. Settle, baby. I'll be out there shortly. All right, so moving on. Where did I want to go? Oh, this is exactly where I wanted to go. So, yeah, it's going to take a minute before we get into the actual full swing of this show, because this is another thing, man. How much do you guys know? We don't need to get too deep into it. We can get a little bit into it. Did you guys, they were referencing the actual Bohemian Grove. Like, this is real shit that is proven to exist, man. So basically, Bohemian Grove, it's like this real place where there's all sorts of politicians, and it got proven to exist because Alex motherfucking Jones broke into the place like over 20 years ago.
Yeah,
and he filmed
in his early days when he was still doing actual, like that was like when he was actually legitimate before he became a complete.
Here's the thing with Alex Jones. Alex Jones is clearly one of the craziest guys that's ever fucking been on the air, Joe Rogan. Let me tell you about him. But he's also because he's so crazy, he's digging and he's fucking hunting for stuff, and he finds some things too. And this is one of the things that he found. So basically, and this is what's funny, this is the actual Bohemian Grove. There's an actual ceremony and this is an AI rendering of it just to prove the AI point, because I needed to clear it up a little bit. So what they proved was, and what they actually do here is they sacrifice a fake body. You get all these rich people. Clint Eastwood is a member of the society. Richard Nixon, Harry Kissinger, like all sorts of super famous, powerful entertainers and politicians. And they sit around at one point yearly and they burn this fake body in effigy. And they say it's like, this is like burning away our cares, right? That's what their official statement is. It's called the care, but nobody knows what the fuck it is. All we know is that all these rich people do this fake sacrifice once a year. Well, in the movie, our main character is a part of this group. So, I mean, I'll just throw out kind of a random. Are you guys aware of Bohemian Grove? Did you pick up on this while you were watching the movie? Anybody have any wild conspiracy theory thoughts they'd like to throw out there? Any of you guys? I have a feeling I'm going to get crickets here.
No, I'm definitely aware of Bohemian Grove. Definitely aware of the whole situation. That great picture they have of like Reagan and Nixon and all them at the table. Yeah, dude, I think Illuminati. Like, if you're versed at all in the Illuminati, you know about this organization, and you know, I don't know the mystery behind it, but this was dope, dude. I love how they tied it in. You know, with the demon. I've seen you before in the tall trees. And I love like the idea. It's one of the basic, like, you know, one of the basic I guess like outsider / amateurish facts of entry into the Illuminati requires a sacrifice, a blood sacrifice of like someone very close to you / like the closest one to you. So like how this, the journey this movie took us on felt right in line with that. But yeah, none of this was like new to me. This was kind of dope to see. I like the way they incorporated it. It could have been, I think it could have been a little bit too cheesy, but they didn't harp on it too. I feel like they left the mystery around it, enough to make it intriguing.
Hell yeah, man. Do you guys think that they did a good enough job that they sprinkled in enough of this to at the end to make it to where there was enough of these hints to where the payoff worked at the end? Fable?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's why I said earlier it was a little predictable, because as soon as they mentioned the cult, I was like, oh, okay, I know where this is going already. And as soon as I knew his wife was dying and the whole nine, I just caught the whole movie. But I still enjoyed the hell out of it regardless.
Right.
And as far as this secret society shit, I mean, come on. What's a backlog, bro? What's a backlog? you know what I'm saying? Like, this shit is everywhere, and it's just a part of human nature. So it wouldn't surprise me that there's some rich group of people out there doing some wild.
I was laughing my ass off when they were all like making the owl noise. It's like,
it's one of those things where, like, I feel like these groups aren't quite as nefarious as they might be, like in our minds and everything, but it's iffy. But there's like 4 or 5 of them. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is the story with all that? There's Skull and Bones, and there's like 4 or 5 of these major secret societies.
The Grove has got to be Snyder's inspiration for Court of Owls, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the same exact thing.
100%.
Definitely.
All right, my friends. I don't know if Missing Link's down there, but let's just move on here. You know what? I want to just know what you guys thought of just the setup and the pace. Here, let me go back to this a little bit to make it make more sense. Just before we get to that bit with Christu, where I think it really does pick up, like just pace wise, I guess for the whole film, it's slow. It is a slow burn, but I find it so fucking engaging. Like, there's a moment like deep in the film where the skeptic guy, when he's doing this hypnotic thing, and he's like, he looks right at the camera and he's like, "Are you aware that you're in a trance?" "Yes, you're in a very deep trance." And I'm like, fuck yes, I am, dude. Like, this movie has me so like engaged, and like, especially even the first time I watched it, I was really iffy. I'm like, how good is this? But I know I'm way into it. And that says a lot right there. It's like so fucking engaging of a movie. And they go long periods where it's like, it is just this awkward talk show host who he's not like the best talk show host in the world. So it's a little awkward without music either, because there's no music playing in the background of a talk show. So there's something about it that's awkward, but so fucking engaging. Like, Stu, were you ever bored? Were you into it?
I was into it the whole way. Like, first of all, what you said earlier about the documentary style intro and kind of introducing you to the show, and his ratings rivalry with Carson, all that was dope. Like, I was in right from then. But like, dude, the fact that it's, for one, it's a Halloween special. You had a couple creepy dudes in the studio audience. The whole thing, like I said earlier, felt like a real theater of the mind. Like, we never left that studio, but at the same time, I never wanted to leave the studio. Like, it was so engaging. I was so enamored about it, and it does have that off kilter rhythm to the show and to his hosting. But I love how it goes from like the show to and those kind of like 70s effects to the black and white behind the scenes, and it feels like real time. It's like 2 minutes for a commercial. You feel like you're really walking with these characters, moving through them for that 2 minutes, and then we jump back into the shit, and it just gets deeper and deeper, dude. There's so many things I loved about it. Like, Homegirl, I love and this is something I got on the second watch, but this air of inevitability you felt about this, like this, like this was all settled for this dude, and like the devil / demon was really waiting for this performance to in the stage. Like, the girl hesitating to come out at first, and then coming out, like, and doing the little curts. It was right, Phable. It was crazy. And dude, the way she eyed the camera down, Like that was uncanny, and that unnerved me, and it was so good. Like, and I can see how some people would be like, that was cheesy, but at the same time, it worked for me.
Right. Well, you could say that for like this whole movie.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can see why people would think it's cheesy, but it worked for me.
Exactly. And it's like, and it really felt like that from one sequence to the next. It was like, man, you're waiting for, kind of like the rug to get pulled out from under you, and everybody to tell you it's a gag or it's a joke, but like it keeps like peeling the layers back. I thought it was great, man. I never wanted to exit. Like it was so well done, I think, and how they balance that world live versus the behind the scenes and the found footage thing at the end. It was great.
Hell yeah, man. Phable, what about you? Just as far as like the pacing and the whole the late night television aspect of it and all that, how well did it work for you?
It's funny. Even though I enjoyed the movie, this thing does something a little brilliant, I think, in a lot of ways, because it explains that this guy isn't Carson, right? Like it tells you that, like he's chasing Carson, or he's at his lowest. He's at his lowest point, actually, right? This is the show that's trying to save his show, right? He's at the lowest point in the ratings or whatever. And when the show starts and he's introducing everything, and he's introduced the guy, what's his name? The
Chris Stu,
Chris Stu. It's a little, I felt like, yeah, this is why you suck, bro. This
right.
is you know what I'm saying?
When he's talking with the audience members, I'm like, bro,
right. This is why your show isn't doing well. And so like it was like an intentional bad pacing in the beginning.
Right.
If that makes any sense, right? Like
it was
you could
awkward.
Right.
It was a ding on me the first time I watched the movie, but then I realized, like, oh, yeah, duh. He's not the greatest talk show host. This isn't Johnny Carson. Plus, it's the 70s. And people weren't quite as quickie and fast paced as things are now.
And he's got a magician, and he's got a freaking psychic guy, and he's got a paranormal. These are just ridiculous guests. There's nobody famous there. So you could tell he's at the end. And the show reflects that, the movie reflects that, but it's an intentional pacing that I think works towards it, right? Because when the shit hits the fan on his show, the audience in his show and us, the audience, we all like, oh shit. Like what's gonna happen? Like Stu said, where's the rug and all that stuff. Now you engage, it just gets more and more, and it keeps going. Like everybody has an issue. Like every guest he comes out with has some sort of thing with them. So yeah, no, it's awesome. I love it.
Hell yeah, man. E says, I love the balance of cheesy and terrifying that they tightrope walk through the whole movie, but particularly the psychic scene. Yes, definitely. And then Melanin and Manga says, boo, I hate it. Hey, they're out there, man. They're out there. Just like, you know what I mean? If you have a Michael Jordan, there's going to be people hating on him. And that's how it is. That's how it is. Now, I get it. No, I really do get it. Like, I could understand watching this movie and being like, what? That's why I was iffy to watch it with my wife last night. Because sometimes, like, even with solid shit, she'll be like, what? But she did fall asleep in it, but that was just because she was tired. She was enjoying it up until that. But I was like, is she going to fucking like this? But Steph, my man, are you with us? Are you there? Yeah, I'm here, Verno. You're doing a great job. Thanks, Steph. I appreciate you, brother. I don't know why your voice is so high. I don't know why. But all right. Let us move on then, my friends. So, as I mentioned, we got what do I have here? We got Chris Stu. We have 3 guests for the night. The first dude, he's basically like what is his name? Jonathan Edwards, where he comes on and he talks to the dead. I'm hearing a name. It starts with a P. And he seems like he could be like, full of shit kind of a guy. We've got this young girl here on the far left she was abducted by these Satanists or whatever. And she's more or less, they claim that she's possessed by a demon, possibly the devil himself. They're going to try to contact him later. Oh, and then the skeptic guy on the right there. So, and then June is the doctor. So let's just, Stu, the cast. We got to talk about the fucking cast in this movie. As many of them or as few of them as you want. I know that's the thing that I've heard most consistently praised in this film is just like, what a great job. And even at first, like with Chris Stu, I was like, well, this guy's a little way too over the top. But as the movie plays out, I'm like, no, he was pitch perfect.
No, dude, and I love the way
I thought he was perfect. But
I love the way they physically altered him once he kind of got possessed by that spirit. Like the same that what's the girl's name? I don't want to. to it.
I forget, to be honest with you. The young girl, I don't know.
Yeah, but the same way she physically changed, I love that about Chris too.
Yeah,
I was worried about the special effects initially when he was vomiting that black bile or whatever, but I felt like it just got better. It got better. Like the final scenes or whatever were fire to me.
I was wondering if that was the AI when I watched it. I'm like,
same, right?
There's that AI.
There you go. But yeah, dude, such a strong supporting cast. I loved like you guys, that's shocking to know, like when Dastmalchian filmed this and where he was at. Like he's just so he really that's like one of the last guys I would pick to be a charming late night talk show host. But, like he pulls it off so effortlessly here, really back against the wall trying to get the ratings in. Homegirl for me was the star of the show. Just from the minute she appeared, I was transfixed by her. The way she always kept the camera within her gaze worked for me. Like I said earlier, like I love that scene when June's about to do the exorcism and she's like, to me or whatever. And she's looking out at the audience and she's moving her head towards June, but she still stops to make that like 2-second connection with the camera.
Right.
That always felt like the demon was out there and he was watching, like the demon was trying to jump through the camera at you. Like if there was a way for him to find his way through, like the cables, like he was going to come at you. I love that. And we also kind of saw that with the white noise later and the thing where we saw his face kind of transfixed, but she was definitely the star of the show for me.
Lily, thank you, Two Gun. Lily is her
Lily
name.
Thank you, Two Gun, bro. Yeah. But yeah, she was the star of the show. I liked the pessimist. He was cool. Like I thought his segment was dope. Gus was great. Like I said, dude, just I really don't think they had any weak spots as far as the supporting cast. I thought that really shored up any other inconsistencies or problems that you might have had with this movie. I thought it really held it down.
Hell yeah, dude. Just one thing I wanted to ask you guys before I said it to you, Phable. When Chris 2 comes out and they go to the crowd for the first time and they talk to Barry. There's a guy in the audience named Barry. And at that point, I'm like, oh my God, like what is with this acting? Like, why does this guy got like prepared jokes? I'm like, I really, really didn't like that. But then right after, when they come off stage, the producer says, "Did you like our guy Barry?" And I'm like, oh, did you guys read that? It's like he was a plant. Like that dude was an actor, and that's why he was acting so strange. You know who I'm talking about? The guy with the beard, like the heavyset guy in the audience.
Yeah, I like kind of, but I definitely didn't put all that.
It was jarring to me. I was like, what the fuck is with this guy? And then they explained it away, and I was like, oh, thank God. But but Phable, what are your thoughts on the cast overall?
I love the cast, man. I thought they all did great. I thought, like I said, I forget his name, but the main character, the talk show host, I think he carried this movie phenomenally. He has this like, I don't know, he has this innocence about him, but he's not innocent. But it's kind of like, he is innocent. I don't know. He's like super guilty. He cares about ratings. He cares about saving the show. And from all accounts, his crew likes him, I think, right? Because his sidekick told him, he said, "You're a good man. You're a good man, but this we got to, not do this or whatever." And he was just relentless with it. So he does a good job at you still caring about him, even though he's going too far.
Right? He does a good job of being relatable and likable, but he's doing wrong too. So he's clearly fucking up, but you can see the pain. Like that's the biggest thing. Like in his eyes is that desire for what he doesn't have, and just like this pain that he's going through really comes through.
I know the girl could come off a little cheesy, but I'm sorry, that girl's the creepiest possessed girl I've seen since Reagan, man. They've been trying to do
it
for years. And this little girl, she managed to come out there with her little crazy mannerisms and shit, and she creeped me the fuck out, bro.
Dude, from the entrance, like
yeah. And then when she speaks, she has this like if they slow down your voice, like kind of thing. You know what I mean? She's like, "Hi, Jack. How are you, Jack?" And I'm like, oh my God, you speak like that. So no, I enjoyed this cast. Hell yeah, man. Great cast.
Hell yeah. Steph, Link, what do you think of the cast overall? Any standouts or stand downs?
I'm gonna go with Gus.
Oh yeah, good choice.
Fuck yeah, you can never go wrong with Gus. Never enough Gus. All right, we got a bit of a fucking debate going on in the man. Who is it? Sheena? Is that you, Sheena?
Yeah, that's Sheena.
Just
Starting
talking shit, Miss
Talking
Sheena. Lily was mad.
crazy
I love
shit,
what she
man.
says. She says, first of all, she went to the theater and saw it, so props. She says, "LOL, started out great, they completely fell apart. I stood up afterwards and was like, what the fuck? LOL, some people booed it.
Wow.
Damn, that is a rough theater that you were in."
Yeah.
I love it. People calling her mid, and E says, I mean, her head did split right down the mid. Dull.
No.
You must be a daddy. If not, you should be for these dad jokes you're busting out. All right, so I guess my final thoughts on the cast is just repeat whatever all you guys have said, man. Everyone's so good. Everyone is really good. And June, the doctor, kind of plays like the straight man. She's the most like normal person in the show, and she's really fantastic too. Another Australian actor. A lot of these there's like a handful of them that are all in this one big Australian TV show. So if we got any Aussie listeners out there, just put that down in the chat right there. But all right, moving right along to this scene. Let's just talk about this, man. The possession itself. Because there's basically two big set pieces there's three big set pieces that kind of wrap up the movie. But this is at like maybe like the 45, 50 minute mark of the movie where our main character, the TV talk show host, we find out he's been sleeping with this doctor. I don't know if that matters or not, but she wants to sell her book and he wants to get these ratings. So they're both kind of using this little girl who's possessed by a demon, and they're going to exploit her more or less on live TV. She's all about it, which makes it a little bit of an easier pill to swallow. She's begging for it. She's like, please, let's do it. This sounds like a great idea. So that's what they do. They pretty much go and have whatever it is, like a seance live on air. And they bring this demon out, and it's so classic Exorcist, little girl being possessed by a demon stuff. Her face looks just like, as we commented, looks very Reagan-like. Her voice is very Reagan-like, and it really, like, although I like it, it is cheesy as fuck. Like, I think it's awesome. It's hella cheesy, and it does kind of remind me of something that would come out of like Scary Movie, where there's like scenes like that where there's like a demon taunting them, or like an SNL sketch. You know what I mean? Like it is like over the top. Like it almost seems like parody, and it's so familiar that it's like but I don't know. To me, it still feels fresh because of the setting, because of the talk show. And there's also something worth mentioning, like the whole idea, like you are rooting for this guy. So like everything that's going on, you're like hoping it goes well so that he gets these ratings, and that plays a factor in the whole fucking thing. But yeah, like Stu, what did you just think of this whole bit? And while you go, I'm gonna go grab my co-host and I'm gonna bring her in here. I think she's ready to come in. But BRB. But Stu, carry the show.
You're muted. Or I can't hear you.
My bad. Yeah, I think what Vern says has definite validity. It was definitely corny in some parts if you kind of approach it from that critical angle. But I feel like if you suspend disbelief and just go with the flow, it worked for me. Like I love her kind of the chair shaking and the one eye kind of popping out. I like the physical change. I like the all like the audio visual things that are going on in the studio at the same time. I love when they rewind it back and see the ghost of his dead wife like kind of behind him. Like this scene was kind of like the linchpin. This is what kind of turned things around and made it a different type of story. But yeah, this, like, I don't know, it worked for me. I definitely think, again, Bird made some great points about the cheesiness of it, but regardless, this was fire, dude. And I thought, again, like this girl pulled off the performance quite well.
I'm just going to pretend like I heard everything you said. Those are great points, too. Those are fantastic points. And I appreciate all the compliments you sent my way. But Phable, my man, what'd you think of Lily and this whole bit? By the way, this is my co-host, Maddie. For those of you that don't know, she pretty much runs everything behind the scenes here at Blood Splatter Chatter. So
yeah. I enjoyed it, man. I get the cheesy stuff. I understand that. And she is totally doing a Reagan, a stereotypical Reagan ripoff. But the way she's acting is so unpredictable that in itself is kind of like gripping and scary a little bit. Like, what is she going to do? Is she going to vomit on somebody, turn somebody's neck, bite somebody? What is this little girl about to do? And look, it didn't get that crazy. But that part where she gets like electrocuted or she becomes electrical or some shit like that, I thought that was really cheesy, right? Yeah. Until her head split open. And then when her fucking head split open, I was like, yeah. I was like, holy shit. And then she became scary on a whole other level, like something different. Like she was a creature. So yeah, no, I enjoyed her, man. She was awesome.
The practical effects elevated for me too. Like when I first saw what's his name, Christo vomit that black bile, I was like, whatever. But then when Gus was like had the worms going on, I was like, dude, this is gnarly as hell. Like, I don't know. They definitely ramped it up in certain sections.
Big time. Yeah. We'll get a little deeper into that in a minute. But fuck yeah, I agree. Steph, what about just this whole bit with Lily and her whole possession bit? Did it work for you?
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. She did a good job.
Yeah, she fucking she's like levitating and shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It gets pretty fucking wild. All right. I don't know why I put this picture in here. This is like there's no good picture of that fucking guy, so I put this one in. This is like a promo photo.
So
this
dope.
To me, man, this is even more fucking cheesy, but maybe even cooler. Yeah. Because the next thing that they do, we've got this fucking guy whose name I can't remember. He's the skeptic, right? He's a professional skeptic.
I think his last name was Haig.
Haig,
like that. Yeah.
Basically, he's like bullshit. He's like, I know what they did, and he's like, he goes on now. He's like, I'm going to show you what they did. So he goes and he does his whole thing where he hypnotizes Gus, the Andy Richter character, hypnotizes him. Unbeknownst to all of us, he hypnotizes the audience, he hypnotizes the viewers at home, and he hypnotizes us. And then they go on to do this whole thing where we get these really, really good at times, but also, if I'm fucking keeping it real, it looked like cheesy at times too, with these practical effects, where he's pulling worms out of his body, out of his neck, out of his stomach. And the stomach, that's kind of what looked the cheesiest to me. You could really tell he was wearing a goofy suit, but whatever. I thought it looked really fucking good. This giant worm.
I like his eye. When his eye. Yeah.
That was incredible. It was incredible. But honestly, first of all, I'm seeing this. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening in this movie? Then it's revealed. Oh, you've all been hypnotized. And they tell, everybody's been hypnotized. And that didn't just happen. And I dig it. I still dig it. But I do think this is fucking stupid. I don't know. Like, I really struggle with this part of the movie, especially because it's like the scene we got before seems like it's like the peak of the movie. And then there's this weird lull where they set this up and then they do this. And this moment is it is almost the peak of the movie, but it's just discrediting what we just saw before we get to the final fucking shebang bang. But I don't know. It was weird, but I loved it, but I kind of didn't like it at the same time. Stu, what do you think, man?
Yeah, no, it's because we just had this profound transcendental moment with Lily, right? And it's like, what the fuck just happened? And then he comes on, he's like, oh no, I can prove it's all a sham or whatever. And like at first we buy into it, and it's cool. Like I like the point where he couldn't snap himself out of the own illusion. I'm like, oh shit, we're definitely going somewhere. But then he's still able to do it, and I was like, oh, okay. So that kind of like killed it a little bit for me, but at the same time, I thought it was cool. But yeah, it is odd placement in terms of chronology with the scenes and like weight of the scenes, like because after that possession, scene, everything feels so heavy. However, I do like how this sets up the video playback.
Yes, me too.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, let's look at what's real and what's not. And then, like, when we get to the video playback with Lily, that's when things really take that final.
There's something about, I don't know, I'm just making me think that there's like something about the pace of the movie where it's like it's a type of movie that has the time to be like, you know what? Let's go do a replay. Like most movies, they just the fucking pace of them, the natural flow of it. But the setting of this one, like you feel so sunk in. And like Phable, you pointed out, you're watching it, or one of you pointed out, it's all happening in real time. So like by the end of this movie, you feel like you've spent like this whole night in the studio with these people. But yeah, I like that too, Stu, where they go back and they're doing the investigation. And if you haven't seen it and you care, they go back and they look on the tape and they see like, oh, the worm thing didn't happen, but then they go back and look on the tape further and the possession did happen. So they prove kind of in a way that was real. But Phable, what did you think of the worms bit and that whole thing? Did you have the same issues that I had or no?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with both of you guys. Yeah, for sure. I thought, like Stu said, the weight was different, or the tone was different, or it brought the movie down a little bit after that big scene. And at the same time, I thought it was a bit of a stretch that this guy thought he can really like hypnotize him. Everybody know.
Yeah. All the viewers at home, like,
just to prove this possession bit was wrong. I thought that was like I don't know. He took a lot of chances on that play to do that. It could have gone a lot wrong, but at the same time, suspension of disbelief. Still enjoyed the character, and so it didn't bother me much, and it was visually cool, right, with the spinning thing and the way they did it.
Right,
it almost does hypnotize you in a sense.
Right.
So I enjoyed it.
I was like leaning into it too. I'm like trying to stare deep into the center of that sort of thing. I'm like, hypnotize me, get me. But did it bug you, or did you enjoy that bit, Steph? Here's a fucking banging tune somewhere.
It does come from Shudder, so I expected a bit of cheese,
right?
But it didn't bother me.
No, all right. Well, let's move on. I guess here's what we got. Here's the end of the movie and basically what happens. How the fuck does it go down? Basically, while at one point, what triggers it? Phable, do you remember? Like, what triggers the Lily ends up fucking, as we mentioned, her fucking head splits open. She starts snapping people's necks. She kills Gus. She kills the skeptic guy. She kills Dr. June. She fucking kills everyone. And then we go through this whole, which they break the found footage aspect of it. Doesn't bother me at all for some reason, because it's like, fuck it, you got to tell the story. But we go into the main character's head, and we're basically being told that they're just making it clear that he made this deal with the devil, with the Bohemian Grove people, and the price that he's had to pay for it was first the death of his wife. They kind of make that clear, where she says, exit mini stage left because of the deal that you made. And then what it ends up turning out, he's got this dagger where for some reason he thinks he needs to kill his wife, right? He's killing his wife, and then he snaps out of it, and he realizes live on TV that he just killed this little girl. And everyone's dead laying around him. So it's more or less, I envision it like he made this deal with the devil that I'll sell my soul and you make me rich and you make me famous. But the way that he's going to become famous is by killing these people live on air. And now he's infamous. And it's pretty much, he's screwed because of it. It's pretty much like making a wish from a genie and the genie fucks you over. And I didn't word it right, kind of a deal. But I honestly, like, at first I was like, it took me a minute to really get it, because it's also very cheesy and it's so dreamlike and it's abstract. You're like, the fuck is really going on? But it honestly was like, after the movie, like sitting there thinking about it, I had to put it together in my head, because it's a little, maybe a little clunky at the end. But I do enjoy it. I love the way it sends home the theme of the movie and the way it ties it all together. I think it is a strong end, if not a little abrupt and a little weird, but overall I do dig it. But what do you think, Stu?
Yeah, I dug it as well. I thought it worked. I thought the special effects were fire, from her head splitting open to like her burning the pessimist to slitting June's throat with the crucifix. Poor Gus. Gus got done dirty. Yeah, man, it worked for me. Like, it was corny in the sense of like, oh, this is a sacrifice or whatever. And dude, every time we saw the wife in this movie, it was like the poor, terminal patient type of deal. Like, it was a little bit cheesy and corny for me. It would have been like, I know we saw her a couple times in her youth and her health, but like, it just got to be kind of OD by that point in the movie, and that final scene. Regardless, it still was dope, still had emotional impact. I love honestly, it reminded me of Joker. The scene, the scene at the end, and mass, death and murder in the late night studio. But I love the pull out, the police sirens and all that. I thought it was dope. I thought it was effective enough. You know, not necessarily the way I would have gone with the story, but regardless, I thought it was cool. You're muted, bro.
Muted.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I complimented you quite a bit. Let's just move past that. Phable, your thoughts on the end, my friend?
I mean, it was a little confusing at first,
right?
Because when she started bugging out and being all electrical, his producer came and pulled him out of the studio.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden this starts happening.
Yep.
This dreamlike sequence, and then I got it. I understood after a few seconds of it that they're just telling you what happened. It's just a recap of how they got to where they were at. But ultimately, I dug it because at the end they go for that macabre ending where he's actually stabbing the little girl, and it's like he killed the little girl, but he saved everybody too. right at the same time, because she killed mad people. She was like a demon, and that's for real. Like, they caught it on tape. So
that's what I'm saying. That's what's kind of interesting. You guys all believe that everything happened, right? Exactly. Like when they go back.
Yeah, because the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, he stabbed and killed everybody. But then I rewound it and went back, and it's like you still see Homeboy got charred. He's all burnt. You see Gus with his head turned all the way around. You see Homegirl, so all those kills happen the way we saw them happen. Like, it wasn't him just going crazy and stabbing everybody.
But I think the way it ended, it kind of brought home the point of everything, right? Like the whole movie. So yeah, no, I dug it. It was a little weird and clunky, like you said, clunky. I would agree with that.
And a little cheesy. Like, even just like to look at this picture. Like, it seemed like it was cheap too. Like, the settings were cheap. Everything was set up a little cheap.
They told them. Remember, she said, "You're gonna be really famous. Like, you're gonna be really famous." And obviously, this is like found footage, like you said. So it's like, yeah, he must have got really famous after this, but not in the way.
Exactly.
Not in the way. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Hell yeah! All right, Steph, you got any thoughts on the end?
Shit. Oh yeah, it was my favorite part of the movie. I dug the little stylistic shift and the way they explained the backstory. That was cool.
Well, all fucking ready then. All right, so you guys down in the chat, which it feels like a decent amount of you guys have seen this movie, which is actually pretty dope for a movie that just came out. I guess it's been out in theaters for a few weeks, but it just dropped on Shudder last week. So if you've seen Late Night with the Devil, let me know your score out of 5. So just to clarify, we've moved to the fucking 1 through 5 scale. I have bowed down. But what else? Do I have anything left here? Oh no, we'll get to that in just a few moments. But all right, let's go around the horn and grade this thing. Your final thoughts, Stu, and your score out of 5, brother.
And I'll give this thing a solid. I'll give it a solid 4.25 out of 5. It's not all the way to a 4.5. Like, it's still got consistent flaws, but it's strong enough movie that like I really enjoyed it, especially on the rewatch. Like I said, only film in quite a while that I've watched 2 times for Blood Splatter Chatter. So
hell yeah, and I appreciate that as well, my friend.
Yeah, dude, it was great.
Mr. Phable, my friend, what's your final thoughts and your score, dude?
I really enjoyed this movie. Thought it was unique. I really enjoyed the main character's performance more than anything in this film. I look forward to seeing his next roles or what he does next. I hope they expand this guy's what he can possibly play now.
Let me just throw in there while because I wanted to say it earlier when I thought of it. He's a huge horror fan. Like, this dude, he just hosted like Shudder's some big thing that they do. Like, he's a diehard horror guy. He's like trying to be part of the community. He gets on. He's got access to Shudder's account, and he's just doing random live streams on Shudder's Instagram, which is cool. But I just want to throw out there, he's like a big hardcore horror guy.
Oh yeah, that's
I think this movie doesn't show too much of its low budget. If it did have a low budget, which I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
I
couldn't find the budget.
Yeah, shout out to the production on this. They totally recreated the feel of a 1970s program, I guess you would say. You know, a mission accomplished. So I'm right there with Stu. I'm gonna say 4, solid 4, 4.0.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, highly recommend, man. Highly recommend, especially if you like that guy too, man. If you like that guy, this is the movie to watch for him.
Oh, absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
Sean, 420, brother.
Sean, what up?
420, bro. We just celebrated your day, which is actually 420 was my 10th year anniversary, man. We had a great time. All right, Steph, my man. Overall thoughts, final grade.
This was an interesting one, but it worked for the most part. More pros than cons. Great cast. I'm gonna always, a little bit under than everyone else, but I'm gonna give it a solid 3.75.
Hell yeah. Which is totally fucking fair. I've been really debating, man. It's a really tough one for me to grade, which I feel like I say this shit a lot. I think I'm right there with you, Stu. I'm gonna go a 4.25. Part of me wants to go 4.5 because of the uniqueness of it, but there's little things, there's little nitpicks, there's enough of them that it kind of adds up that it's not a 5 for a minute. I wanted to give the thing a fucking 5 just because it's so rewatchable too, and it's like it's an overused word, but it's such a vibe. It's such a cool movie to sit with and like to watch. I don't know. It really it's more engaging than any movie that I can think of that I've watched in a while. Like it
really is, because you never leave like we said earlier, you're always in the studio, you're going scene to scene with these characters. Like it feels breathless in that way. Like I love the pace of it. Like you don't ever feel bored.
Little time, like it's a time capsule. Like how many fucking movies, how many movies can you just throw on and feel like you're experiencing the 70s and what that late night talk show vibe was like? One of the things that the creators talk about, and I used to watch late night show back in the 80s when I was a kid, not the 70s. I was born in 83, but they talk about how when you're watching late night, especially when you're young, you feel like it's just like sneak peek into this adult world where something might happen. And like sometimes adult things would happen on late night television, especially in the 80s. It felt like more of a dangerous place, and that he just thought that would be an interesting place to set a film. And for me, they crushed that aspect of it.
Can I ask you guys a question before we bounce out of here? Maybe Absolutely. You guys picked up on it. There were 2 instances where they talked about a segment that was unplanned segments. But I don't know if they ever followed through with any of that. What did that mean? I don't know if you remember any of that.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I didn't know if it was that the June stuff? Was that the possession stuff? I wasn't sure what he was talking about. Was it the worms bit? Because Gus was the one that was concerned about it. He was the one that ended up being in that segment. Yeah. So I don't know. That's a good question. The second time I watched it, I did try to like peek up and be like, what the fuck are they talking about? But I still I can't confirm nor deny.
Like he was talking to somebody on the line too. Like he was like, what are you talking about? I don't know. It's not on my thing. It's not and he was, who's he talking to? Like I'm thinking like, is that the demon? Like they're planning a segment. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right. Well, and there's the other this is kind of a separate thing, but I could see it bothering some people, or especially on the second time I watched it, I was like, why the fuck are they filming these people right now? Like they're having a private conversation. This is the host. Aren't they saying anything about this camera guy sitting there? But if it was like a big movie, that happens all the time. They're filming everything behind the scenes. But this isn't that. But I didn't care. Like the same thing with when they leave the found footage format to do the explanation at the end. Whatever. It's just I'm not too caught up in it. But it's worth giving it. For me, it bumps it up a little bit. The fact that it's like, oh, this is found footage, and it doesn't feel like it. It's an Exorcist movie. It doesn't feel like it. It's a period piece movie, and it does feel like that, I suppose. But all right, hell yeah, man. We got a 3.75 from Missing Link, a 4.25 from me and Stu, and a 4 from Phable. Sean 420, bruh. He gave it a 4.20. I love it. I love it. Two Gun Pedro gives it a 4.25. Madison Rose, what do you give it? Maddie didn't watch it. She didn't watch it. I'm not
all right, Maddie.
She did. Who else we got? We got E gave it a 4. Feels like a couple tweaks. Would have made this a 5. Ambitious and inventive movie. Hell yeah, man. Agreed. Hell mother trucking, yeah. Sheena gives it a 5. I like that. All right.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she did. She wrote it. She wrote a 5. So anyway, moving on to She did great. So a big announcement, ladies and gentlemen. May 16th.
Hey.
Mark your calendars. This is pretty much, I looked into it, and I'm gonna go ahead and call this the 1-year anniversary of Blood Splatter Chatter. We've been at this bitch for a year doing movie reviews. So on May 16th, I got Mr. Rockin' Robbie Billups. He's gonna be joining me. All you guys are invited. Whoever the fuck wants to come, all you guys in the chat, you're coming too, but most of you be in the chat. But we're just gonna do a trivia night, man. Which I've got these cards. Been doing a little bit of that with Steph, and it's been fun. But I got a lot of tricks up my sleeve and a lot of special little segments that we're gonna do that night. I keep having ideas. I'm like, oh, that'll be fucking cool. So I got a lot of things I'm packing into this night.
This thumbnail is not AI, is it, Verno?
It's fucking AI, bro. Yes, it is. I was gonna say earlier, man. On the AI point, this background you see, fucking AI, right? This background you see sometimes, AI. Every description you see in any video that I fucking make, AI. I don't write that shit. You know how fucking boring and weird that is. I have AI do all that shit now. And
just for just a kayfabe for you guys behind the scenes, Verno shared his screenshots when he was training his AI to make his show descriptions. It was hilarious. Like, all right, but do that, but make it sound cooler.
Make it sound like you're someone that's cool. But this right here, and this is the exact type of thing. I would never fucking hire an artist to make a thumbnail for me, ever. You know what I mean? I would make it myself. I would maybe draw that brand. It just wouldn't look as good. But I was like, oh, what could I do for a thumbnail? First thing I did, I don't always do this, but I did. I asked AI, hey, I'm doing a trivia night. You got any ideas? They start shooting out fucking ideas. One of them was something to do with a brain, whatever. Anyway, so I went and I had that brain made on the Wonder app, and I cut it out and I put it on here and I cut out all that other shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't think that there's many people like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. But this is where AI is going to help. People that I don't have a staff, I don't have a fucking people that are gonna draw shit and make things for me. So if AI can do it for free and they can do it kind of cool, then you should be taking advantage of it. You know what I mean? I know I'm gonna. But all right, so yeah, May 16th, Thursday, it's gonna be a bunch of fun. Next Thursday, we're talking Phantasm. Have my buddy Eric. We just talked. Such a fun movie. We had such a fun conversation. Talking 1979's Phantasm. That's what you guys will be seeing next Thursday. And Sunday, if you guys don't know this yet, Steph's going to be joining me. All you guys are invited. We're fucking talking Fallout. It's got to happen, man. Going to be talking about the game and talking about the show. Stu, you can call in from fucking work if you want to. But that's another thing.
It's so good. I'm like through my second watch of the season.
Are you? See, I think I'm going to watch the whole thing again before Sunday. But I'll just say,
it's so good.
For you guys out there, if you want to fucking join, any of you guys out there that join the show, you're more than welcome to join, and we can do it. Like we'll start off. We're going to talk about the game. We could talk about the show in non-spoiler form. I could talk about that show for an hour in non-spoiler form, just fine. And then if you haven't finished it by then, dip the fuck out, and we're going to talk spoilers for the last 15 minutes or whatever. We'll set up a format that will work for everyone. But I'm just dying to talk about this show, man, and the game, because now I'm back in the wasteland, fucking shit up. So.
Oh man, don't get me. Yeah, I downloaded the patch today for the PS5, and I'm like, I gotta watch the movie. God damn it! So I couldn't play.
Just a couple days ago, I was taking out the Raiders at the Corvana assembly plant or whatever. Like,
hell, fucking yeah! So I can't wait, man. That's Sunday, 6:30 Eastern time. Let's say, mañana, 9:00 Eastern time. # blame Phable and his amazing friends. My brother, tell the people what you got going
on. As you know, Blame Fable's Amazing Friends, Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, with me, my brother Nick Comic Culture, and Dr. Doom's Fan Club. And of course, Brother Joe singing us in. And a couple more guests, man. We're going to talk about everything that happened this week. As you know, the Deadpool trailer dropped, and then it was like an atomic bomb in our community because of the freaking other post.
Beastie Boys drop. It dropped.
Yeah, that show title is all time right there, bro.
So, you know, we've had a few days to look at it, think about all the theories and stuff like that. So let's have some fun. Let's talk about some of these theories and things like that. Why not?
I think I'm the only person online that has not seen that fucking trailer. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. But hell yeah, man. Last night over on Supreme Clientele, we got Steph, we got Stu, chopping it up. Tell the people about it, fellas.
Yeah, man, we had a great show. Chopping about the trailer. Steph had some great takes on IG. We went through that. Beneath the Trees, number 5, Avengers Twilight, number 5. What else? Ultimate Black Panther number 3 and Ultimate X-Men number 2. Covered a bunch of new issues every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going through comic books, old, new, pop culture, all that good stuff on the Dr. Doom Fan Club YouTube channel. Y'all come check us out, man. Me and my homie. Good times. Yeah. Thank you to everybody in the chat who was there last night. Appreciate you.
Everybody that's not me. What a fucking dick. I told you earlier, man. I get this probably happens to you guys sometimes. I get notification, half hour, Supreme Clientele. It's going down. I'm like, oh, cool, sweet. And then I didn't get the other notification. And then, like, this morning, I'm like, oh, I'm a dick. Like, I'm a piece of shit. Does it happen to you guys sometimes? You'll get the half hour warning, but not the notification that the show starts?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm glad. That makes me feel better. All right, Maddie's got her final thoughts. Maddie? Okay, she licked the microphone. Perfect. All right, she likes it. All right, you guys are the best, man. You guys in the chat, I appreciate the shit out of you guys. And again, Sunday, fun day. Tune in. We're going to be talking some Fallout. Phable, say it for me, man. Where's it at? Thank you. Where's my motherfucking brand? I found it. There it is. All right, you guys are the best.
Oh, my bad.
All right. All right. See you guys. Thank you so much. You guys are the best.